Just a few months ago, something happened that sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie. For the very first time, a human brain was connected to the digital world, completely wirelessly. This isn't just some small upgrade, it feels like the beginning of a whole new chapter for us. So let's just start with a question for you. What if you could send a text, move a mouse cursor, or play a video game just by thinking about it? It's a pretty wild thought, and it's exactly what Neuralink is making happen. But believe it or not, their ultimate vision, it's even bigger. So, for Elon Musk, the long-term goal here is to create a true symbiosis between humans and AI. See, he's worried that in a future with super intelligent AI, we'll be left in the dust because we can only type or talk so fast. A high bandwidth brain interface, well, that could theoretically bridge that gap and let us keep up. All right, so that's the big picture, the far-off future. But before we get to human-AI symbiosis, we really need to understand the technology as it exists today. Because here's the thing, this technology wasn't born out of some desire to create superhuman abilities. Its first job is something way more grounded, way more urgent, and, well, more human. It's about giving back what was lost. Yeah, to really get why this matters so much, you have to hear the story of the very first person to get this implant. So this is Nolan Arbaugh. He's a guy who describes himself as a people person, was a huge athlete his whole life growing up. But about 8 years ago, a diving accident changed everything, and it left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. It's a condition called quadriplegia. And what's so powerful, what really hits home, is how Nolan talks about what he lost. It's not just the big things, like playing sports. As he says here, it's the small things, the little sensory details of life, like just being able to hold and smell a book. That's what he misses most. It's a powerful reminder of what so many of us take for granted. I mean, he says it himself. People in his position, they just want more independence, the ability to interact with the world on their own terms again. So for Nolan, a brain-computer interface, or a BCI, this isn't about some sci-fi future. It's about reclaiming his present. Okay, so how does this thing actually work? And really, what makes it so different from everything that's come before? For decades, brain implants used these rigid arrays of spikes. People sometimes called them a bed of nails that were basically hammered into the brain. The problem with that? Well, the brain is smart. It sees these rigid things as an invader, so it builds up scar tissue around them, and pretty soon the signals just fade away. What Neuralink did was totally different. They used these ultra-thin, flexible threads that actually move with the brain, and that causes almost no immune response. And when I say thin, I mean, how thin are we talking? 2 microns. To put that in perspective, that is smaller than one of your own red blood cells. These threads are so incredibly fine that a human hand isn't steady enough to insert them. It has to be done by a robot. So what are these tiny threads actually listening for? They're listening for these little electrical spikes called action potentials. It's basically the sound of your brain working. Every single time you think or intend to move or feel anything, your neurons fire off these signals. The implant is designed to pick up all that chatter, that electrical signature of your thoughts, from hundreds of neurons all at once. And get this whole surgery is done by a robot, the R1. First, it scans the surface of the brain to map out all the blood vessels so it can avoid them. Then, in step 2, the robot acts like a microscopic sewing machine, carefully weaving 64 of these individual threads into the motor cortex. And the result, in step 3, is a complete procedure done with a level of accuracy down to the micron that no human surgeon could ever hope to achieve. Okay, so the tech is in. Let's get back to Nolan. What was it actually like for him to use it for the very first time? That's Nolan's reaction. I mean, you can just hear the awe in his voice. He said it just blew his mind, no pun intended, his words, when he first did it. For years, he had stared at his hands, trying to will them to move. And now, for the first time, he could actually see his intention translate directly into action on a screen. So, to measure how well he's doing, the team uses this metric called bits per second, or BPS. Just think of it like a video game score for your brain. It's a measure of how fast and how accurately you can move a cursor to click on different targets. The higher your BPS score, the more seamlessly you're controlling that computer. And this chart, this tells a really interesting story. It wasn't just a straight shot to success for Nolan. After setting a really impressive first record, his performance actually dipped. It turns out some of the implant's threads had pulled back from his brain just a little bit. He honestly thought it might be over. But the software team adapted. They made the recording algorithm way more sensitive so it could pick up signals from the neurons that were still connected. And because of that, he didn't just recover, he completely smashed his old record, setting a new world record for BCI cursor control. So, what does a world record BPS score actually get you? What does it mean? For Noland, it means getting to play video games, like Civilization 6, all night long, until 6 in the morning, completely by himself. It's that simple, tangible return of his independence that really shows the power of this breakthrough. But look, helping Noland control a cursor, that's just step one. It's an incredible step, but it's just the beginning. This device is basically a general-purpose way to get information in and out of the brain, and the possibilities? Well, they're just staggering. Neuralink is already working on what's next. We're talking about an implant for the visual cortex to potentially restore sight to the blind. Beyond that, they're talking about treating psychiatric conditions like depression, or maybe even helping people with memory loss by reestablishing the connections to memories that are still there, just inaccessible. So you see the pattern here, right? It all points to a technology that starts by repairing the human body, and then just maybe it helps us go beyond our natural limits. It's about restoring what's broken today with the very real potential to enhance our senses tomorrow. And that leaves us with a huge fundamental question. As these devices get more powerful, as they become more common, we're going to have to redefine our relationship with technology, and maybe even with ourselves. What part of us is biology, and what part is technology? And where exactly do we draw that line?